Welcome to Vetted, the channel dedicated to exploring the unexplained and sharing truly personal accounts of the unknown. Tonight, we journey to the rugged, serene landscapes of rural Croatia, where on a winter's day in 1997, a simple shepherd's routine was interrupted by an encounter that defies all earthly explanation. This is the profound testimony of Jakov Vrancic, who, drawn by an unusual sound, came face to face with a silent, landed craft and its enigmatic, childlike occupants. It's a story of unexpected contact, brief communication, and the enduring challenge of living with an undeniable truth that brings unwanted attention. It was December 12th, 1997, a crisp winter's day in Sarajevo, Croatia. For me, Jakov Vrancic, life revolved around the rhythm of the land and the needs of my flock. I was a shepherd, tending my sheep outside my home, just as I had done countless times before. The air was cold, biting, but clear, and the only sounds were the gentle bleating of the sheep and the soft whisper of the wind across the fields. It was a day like any other, filled with the familiar quietude of rural life. Then it started, an odd buzzing sound. It was faint at first, almost imperceptible against the natural backdrop, but it was insistent, an unusual vibration in the still winter air. It wasn't the hum of machinery I recognized, nor the drone of a distant plane. It was distinctly alien, a high-pitched metallic hum that seemed to cut through the quiet. My sheep, usually placid, seemed to sense it too, shifting uneasily. My curiosity, honed by years of observing the subtleties of nature, was piqued. This wasn't normal. I decided to investigate. Leaving my flock to graze, I walked across the field, following the strange sound. It grew louder, more distinct, drawing me towards a slight rise in the terrain, obscuring whatever lay beyond. The landed craft. As I crested the rise, the sight that greeted me froze me in my tracks. There, on a patch of open ground, was a landed UFO. It was utterly silent, a profound contrast to the buzzing sound that had led me there. The craft was sleek, metallic, its surface a dull silver that reflected the grey winter sky. It appeared disc-shaped, or perhaps a flattened oval, seamlessly constructed without any visible seams, rivets, or propulsion systems. It just rested there, an impossible object on my familiar land. My mind struggled to comprehend. This was no airplane, no helicopter. It defied everything I knew about machines, about flight. It was an undeniable physical presence, an object from another world, sitting silently in my own field. Fear, cold and profound, began to spread through me, but it was quickly overshadowed by an overwhelming sense of awe and bewildering curiosity. The childlike humanoids. And then, as I stood there, utterly transfixed, I saw them. Standing outside the craft, perhaps having just emerged from it, were several childlike humanoids. They were small in stature, roughly the height of human children, but their proportions were distinctly alien. Their heads were proportionally large, dominating their slender bodies, and their skin was a uniform, smooth gray. Their eyes, as I recall, were prominent and dark, observing me with an unreadable yet seemingly benign curiosity. They were utterly silent, just like their craft. They didn't move towards me, nor did they recoil. They simply stood there, a small group of them, observing me with an intense, unwavering focus. My initial fear began to subside, replaced by a strange sense of calm. Despite their alien appearance, there was nothing overtly threatening about them. They possessed an innocence, a delicate quality that belied the impossibility of their presence. Then, remarkably, the interaction began. I don't recall precise spoken words, but it was as if an understanding passed between us. We spoke for a few minutes. It was a brief, silent exchange, a communication that transcended language, perhaps telepathic, perhaps simply a profound knowing. I conveyed my surprise, my bewilderment, and they, in turn, seemed to communicate a sense of purpose, a reason for their presence, though the details of that message remain elusive now, distilled into a feeling more than a memory. It was surprisingly peaceful, almost natural, despite the utterly impossible circumstances. They didn't seem to be here for harm, but for observation, for a brief, direct contact. After what felt like a brief, suspended moment in time, the exchange concluded. The childlike humanoids began to move. They glided gracefully, almost effortlessly, back towards the craft. A subtle seam, or perhaps a nearly invisible hatch, became apparent on the UFO's sleek hull, opening just enough for them to re-enter. They disappeared one by one, their small, gray forms vanishing back into the enigmatic interior. Once they were all inside, the craft itself began to stir. It didn't rock or tremble. It simply took off. Effortlessly, silently, it lifted from the ground, hovering for a moment just above the field. There was no smoke, no flame, no jet wash, no sound whatsoever. Just that persistent, high-pitched buzzing returning, now growing fainter as it ascended. It gained altitude with incredible speed, a silent silver disk against the winter sky, shrinking rapidly until it became a distant speck, then vanished completely. The aftermath and unwanted attention. I stood there for a long time, utterly alone in the field, the cold winter air biting at my face. The only sounds were the bleating of my sheep, returned to their placid grazing. The impossible had just happened. My life, my understanding of the world had been irrevocably altered. A landed UFO, childlike humanoids, a brief, silent conversation. It was a truth I now carried, a secret that felt too immense for one man to bear. Much to my dismay, my case quickly brought me unwanted attention. News of a UFO sighting in a small Croatian village, especially one involving landed craft and occupants, doesn't stay quiet for long. Villagers talked, reporters came, scientists, curious but often skeptical, made inquiries. I was scrutinized, questioned, sometimes doubted, sometimes seen as a local eccentric. It was overwhelming, a stark contrast to the quiet, private life I had always known. The profound, personal wonder of the encounter was now overlaid with the burden of public curiosity and skepticism. Despite the unwanted attention, the dismissals, and the challenges of being a witness to the unexplainable, my memory of that December day in 1997 remains crystal clear. The odd buzzing, the silent craft, and those small childlike beings with their large heads and gray skin. Their quiet gaze, our brief telepathic understanding, and their silent departure. It was an experience that confirmed for me that we are not alone, and that sometimes the profound mysteries of the universe manifest in the most unexpected ways, in the quietest corners of the world, leaving a shepherd with a truth that no one can take away. Jakov Vrancic's compelling testimony from Kraljevo, Croatia, offers a unique and highly detailed account of a close encounter, featuring a classic landed UFO and the distinctive appearance of childlike humanoids. The detail of the telepathic conversation and the odd buzzing sound adds intriguing layers to a profound personal experience. His story highlights the challenges faced by witnesses who gain unwanted attention yet choose to stand by their truth. What are your thoughts on this astonishing encounter? Have you heard of similar sightings involving childlike humanoids or unique auditory phenomena? Share your insights and experiences in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Vetted for more true encounters, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next upload. Let's keep the conversation going.